Greetings people and welcome back to another video on the Bridge YouTube channel where we bring you all things Chelsea. I'm your host with the most, the Bridge 258, here to give you the latest Chelsea news. Here we go. So let's start with some of the main news, and that is sadly that Caicedo still hasn't trained yet, and according to Nathan Gislin aka CFC news page, I probably think they still dealing with the knock on his knee. Doesn't look like, from what it's looking like, it's Wednesday. I haven't seen any pictures of him in training on Wednesday either, so it's looking more than likely that he will not be available for the Aston Villa game on Sunday at 2 p.m. So I'm afraid to say, guys, your boy Caicedo is not playing. So it is what it is. We got to move on that one still. Whether or not we are happy about it is a different thing entirely, but at the end of the day, Caicedo is not going to be available for that game, and hopefully, man, he's back for either Brighton or the next game, which is on Fulham, which I believe is on a Saturday. Saturday week though, not the Saturday coming, the Saturday week. So, alright, so that's one injury to talk about. The other injury is sadly Badiashile. As you guys know, he's been recovering from a hamstring injury that he has had since, if I'm not mistaken, May. Sadly, there was a setback apparently last week, and it means that he's got an extra week essentially to rehabilitate now, and the club are hoping that he should be available for Fulham. But you know, it's a really damn shame again of Chelsea Football Club and the injuries. But you know, something that we do know also is that Pochettino's putting these guys through rigorous training, making sure that they're back to full health, full speed. You know, that they're fully fit people. So maybe, and you know, if I'm not, there was like a stat that I saw that which was like over 40 people were like injured at one point. Yeah, throughout the 2016-2017 season for Pochettino. So you know, maybe his style of training, the drills they're doing, the stuff that they're doing, probably has an effect on these man's body. And like, you know, it's taken quite a bit of time for them to acclimatize to that level of, you know, strength training at the end of the day. So we'll see. But you know, hopefully again, Caicedo should hopefully be back, you know, for the Fulham game, and Benoit Badiashile should be back and fully ready to be in contention for the Fulham game as well. But you know, again, you know, losing out on Caicedo, of course, it's a bad thing. But you know, Ugochukwu had a solid game. I think again, Aston Villa, someone that's already in Poland right now, playing a game. You know, I think, you know, it should be fine for, you know, Ugochukwu again to be playing again on Sunday. He's a very talented player at the end of the day, so I look forward to seeing what he can do. So those are the two injuries out of the way. In regards to some of the more news, so Chelsea have raised $500 million in funding and investment in order to help them basically in regards to the stadium rebuild. So as you guys know, they're planning to either rebuild the stadium or, like, you know, maybe move it away. So some of the, to add to that news, obviously, is in regards to my boy Matt Law. So Matt Law has reported that the club and has insisted that the club are trying to use investment to help build the club and to help improve it, and that the club are still considering whether to actually move away from the club or not, from Stamford Bridge or not, which is why I have Stamford Bridge in the title. Now, as you guys know, the pitch owners obviously own the pitch at Stamford Bridge. That's what they own at the end of the day. I think that also includes the naming rights, if I'm not mistaken, and a bunch of other stuff. So like, even if the ownership was to move, they will need the consent of the pitch owners in order for that to be allowed to happen at the end of the day. And when it comes down to it, you know, in regards to the pitch ownership and stuff, a big thing for me is that when it comes down to it, that, you know, when it comes down to the pitch owners and a lot of this stuff here, is that look at the price that you got. Look at the price, right? It's going to be very expensive to do the rebuild, I think, at Stamford Bridge. A lot of that is to do with the engineering that you got around there, the places that you've got around there. You obviously got a situation where, for example, the engineering that's going to be needed, for example, on the stadium that you're going to have to do quite extensive. There's also other factors. Obviously, they're trying to buy land to where the old retired people are, which is just literally next to the stadium, which is that little what looks like a mini mansion. It's actually full of a lot of homes for retired people. If I'm not mistaken, it's for the pensioners. If I'm not mistaken too, because there's a lot of pensioner homes actually in and around that area of Fulham, to going to connect it into Chelsea onto the King's Road essentially. So that's a nice little fact from a local there, truly. But yeah, that's one thing that, you know, you also have to consider. Of course, there's obviously the Fulham Broadway station pass through there, which is an underground station. So you have to also think about that. The distance between, you know, where the train is, the saw that's there, is it strong enough to even handle what you're trying to look for maybe to do? Then you've obviously got constriction of the area. You also got like residential buildings that are in and around there. How long can you build there per day? So there's a lot of factors that are going to Stamford Bridge, which makes it quite difficult, in my opinion, to do a lot of the building on. And that's why, like, I've been hearing, I think someone was making a point that it would cost somewhere upwards of what, I think one of the reports was, it would cost upwards of 1.5 billion Yeah, let me just say it again. 1.5 billion pounds. Yeah, if the club wanted to revamp, reinstall, and do whatever they need to do to Stamford Bridge alone. So the cost there is so high that you have to wonder, is moving to somewhere else the better thing. Again, when you move into Earls Court, you're almost talking about, like, from where Fulham Broadway is, it's literally like 3 rows distance in my opinion. Like when I say 3 rows distance, yes, it's gonna be like you're on the same road essentially for a bit, for like a somewhat of time, but really it's just 3 rows difference in my opinion. That you're not even going that far. You're literally going from Fulham Broadway. Earls Court is literally like a slight diagonal to that side there. That's all it is. And I understand, again, when it comes down to sentimentality and everything, I'm a pitch owner myself, of course. Like, so, of course, like, I would love, obviously to, stay at the bridge and everything. But we also need to consider, the pros and cons of the situation. If there's too many cons, if it's going to be too expensive, if there's a lot of stuff that are going against it, at some point, we have to also, wake up and smell the coffee and say, is staying at Stamford Bridge hampering our chances of maybe having a better stadium, a better quality experience, maybe being able to bring in a better income and revenue at the place. If it costs the club 1.5 billion, again, I'm telling you this, 1.5 billion is kind of crazy. Tottenham Hotspur got a whole new stadium for £1 billion. So, like, this is just talking about revamping Stamford Bridge, changing a lot of stuff, like, a lot of that thing. So, like, that's what I'm saying to you. Like, for me, I don't know, man. I feel like the cost there and the burden there is almost too high for me personally. Even though, I would prefer not to. But when you look at it that way, it's very hard for you to, very hard for you from a fan perspective to say, oh, I have to stay here. And even if it means that much of a cost for me personally. But again, that's my opinion. Of course, you guys can give your opinions in the comments below, whether you disagree with me or not. But that's the thing for me. Maybe if we could do a similar situation where maybe the club is able to keep hold of, like, Stamford Bridge, maybe, and you can do charity matches there, maybe that might be a thing where we can still keep Stamford Bridge, but like, it won't be like, it'll be almost like a secondary stadium where the fans can have some sort of fun there, maybe like that. But we move the main stadium to somewhere else where we can all go and actually have a much better match day experience. Maybe that's the only thing I can say. Maybe that that might be able to. But again, even that costs a lot of money. So again, it's up to we have to see what these guys come up with, and then we'll move on from there. Now let's talk in regards to some other news that came out recently today, and that is that Rock Nation have dropped Romelu Lukaku. So listen, man, this guy, man, no one's liking him. Even Jay-Z's on the phone being like, yeah, not you, big man. We're all like that new American, hipster stuff that you're doing. So, like, listen, big man, chill out, move on. So, he's been moved on from Rock Nation. He can hold that at the end of the day, mate, and he can just get out of my club. I mean, this is simple as that when it comes to Romelu Lukaku. Simple as that. Alright, let's move on now, guys, to the final topic, which is on Ivan Toney. So, in regards to Ivan Toney, apparently he is available for around about £50-60 million. That's what Brentford want from him. From some of the sources that I've been hearing, and from what people have been saying, is that apparently Arsenal are in the lead now for him, and he's interested in Arsenal, maybe over Chelsea, and that's to be expected at the end of the day. I think for me, the best way you can get Ivan Toney done is that if you start seeing results from the club, we start looking like we're going forward, there's a lot of progress there, then that can convince him. Right now, the way we're moving on the results and everything, it's not helping us at all and helping to convince these almost top players, to try to come to the club to us. So we need to get the results right, and I think for me, then we'll be able to get someone of the Ivan Toney caliber to the football club. But again, that's just my opinion. What I like to have in the football club, of course, I was advocating for this brother heavy. You guys know that, many people in the chat. So I would love to have someone like an Ivan Toney type. He was one of the main advocates at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens there. But of course, I would like him at the football club. Let's see what happens, man. Hopefully, if Chelsea turn around the results and start looking at the old Chelsea and who can compete and do a good job at the end of the day, then I think we maybe have a better chance or a bigger chance. Simple as that for me, really. And yes, guys, that is the video. I know I haven't done this my usual videos. I've missed almost like 2 days because of the fact there wasn't that much Chelsea news. So instead, I tried to do for you guys, the usual content, which is in regards to, live streaming. I did the United, obviously, United versus Bayern game yesterday. The day before, we did a PSG versus Borussia Dortmund game, which I thought was another interesting game. But hey ho, we'll continue to do those where we do BVB versus someone, or like again, United versus someone. If there's a good competition in and around, we'll definitely be watching those on this channel. But again, tomorrow, obviously, you'll get your preview on the Chelsea versus Aston Villa game. Saturday, I'll try to do maybe a nice little mini live stream for one of the Premier League games that are out there. I'll let you guys know tomorrow, but of course, this Saturday, you know Sunday, what's happening. 1 p.m. Sunday 1 p.m. Be here, be ready to react to Chelsea meet against Aston Villa. Right now, as I'm recording, they're losing 3-2 to their team in Poland. So hey ho, man. If we lose to them or even draw to them, that's blood on Pochettino's hands. But we move. I've been your host, the Bridge258. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you've got a bit of change, get me the latte that I need. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get the pumpkin spice lattes here. Thank you very much. Have a nice one, and as usual, dedicate your hearts as always, and stay blue.